recommend that client with a startup to pay for enterprise because they did BA. So that means in that constraint, we couldn't use DBT for the client at all. How do we use? We use all native Snowflake capability, Snowflake stream, Snowflake task. So which means if all you've learned on data modeling is staging intermediate maths with DBT, the day you have a company that will not use DBT, what happened? You are lost. You don't know what to do again, right? And that's why it's important. You don't let the tool. You learn the frameworks. You learn the fundamental knowledge that hold everything together. So that even when you don't have the tool, you can always navigate your way and walk around it. Next slide. So now, how do you approach data modeling? I've said the Lord. How do you approach data modeling from a greenfield? By the virtue of to build from scratch for many organizations, I think 8 out of 10 were always like their data team started from scratch. It's easy. All you just need to do is the first stage, understand the business. What question are you trying to answer? In case you are the first data hierarchy, you can do that. Understand the question. What question are you trying to answer? What problem are you trying to solve? Then the next thing, like I said, once you solve that problem, you then ask yourself the question, what type of tables do I need? What will be the lowest record of that table? What did I call? Modeling pattern. I told you earlier how that if you constrain yourself to Ralph Kimball fast data modeling, when you get to event stream, when you get to more customer behavior, customer-centric related data set, Ralph Kimball will struggle, which is why you need to use the right modeling pattern for the right problem. And then finally, and now Agents is now making it important such that don't just build data models. And now Agents is now making it important such that don't just build data models. Ensure you are documenting the context of each of those tables. What does this a field mean? What does a column mean? Stakeholders don't have the time for you to say, I want to do all of that. They want their report. Many people say is they don't have the time. There's so much of pressure to move very fast. The organization wants to move quickly. And because of that, many people don't take the time to model the right way. But let's assume you want to model, you have a terrible, messy data set that you inherit. You join an organization, you are doing a major part of your transformation in Power BI. I told you that's already a cue that you have a very poor data model because you shouldn't be doing all of those heavy work in Power BI. Those heavy transformations should be happening upstream. So now how do you go about that? So the first thing is you audit before you build. You ask yourself the question, are there hard-coded metrics or model that are in Power BI or in any BI tool that I think we can move upstream to help at least create a bit of bandwidth? So when you do that audit, the next thing is do a bit of find the pain point. A pain point can be a stakeholder telling you, I don't know where all the tables are if I want to check any reports. I have to go through multiple reports. That's a pain point. So which is why you also do a bit of communication, understanding what are your pain points. And that's what I did at Carrywise. I met literally with all my major stakeholders to understand what are your major pain points. What are the reports you want to build that you are unable to build? What are the metrics that you struggle today that you wish you had access to? And that's why it all is getting becoming a necessity. Why data professional, you need to learn a lot of communication skills. You can't run away from it. You will struggle as a technical person if you don't know how to elicit conversation with your stakeholder to understand what they need. You have to be doing things in silo, and your solution you'll be building will not even solve anything because they don't need it. So when you do all of that, when you find their pain point, then the next thing is find a domain at a time that have the highest impact. For me then at Carrywise was just my CEO or my finance. I know if I make my CEO happy, every other two other scope. So find a domain, then build the new model alongside the old. Don't just say we are going to discard everything. So you are going to build alongside such that you then know when you cut over once you have an enriched data model. And finally, like I said, document the decision you made and why you made each of them. Last slide, which is, so now in the age of AI, I showed earlier how that the experiment we did at Data Culture, we had 80% SQL generation rate for the first healthcare and 0 result accuracy. But we're able to get to 92% accuracy on a test case. How are we able to do that? Is this framework, which I think the success of any AI agent at all, text to SQL, is dependent on. We've talked about a robust data model, but that's just at least you have a good base. You then need what is called a good semantic layer. So for the sake of those that are hearing semantic layer for the first thing, it's just a way to tell the agent, this is how to calculate revenue, or use this field. Or if you want to calculate revenue, it is quantity times the price. That's the semantic layer. Then you have what is called the ontology. So ontology is you telling the agent, this is a context, this is the understanding about the business. An example would be, oh, why revenue it is this, but if you want to calculate revenue, ensure you filter for VAT. Because if you don't do that, the agent will only do from the semantic layer and will not know that the business does not include VAT. So all of those understanding is what the ontology would do. So when we did all of those enrichment, next slide, we're able to get to 92% accuracy on our test case, and this is actually live that is being leveraged by stakeholders. I think so far now they're even asking for a new agent to be rolled out. But we won't have this success if we don't have, one, a solid data foundation, two, a good understanding of the business you're trying to solve, and three, a good way to enrich the agents with good context, good ontology, good semantics about the business, which then drove the accuracy. And same thing also go to the next slide, which is the other one, which is from 0% accuracy to 95% for this e-com. And while the data foundation was good, there's still a bit of context. So finally, next slide. I say the skill AI can't replace. Even though I joke a lot, I'm like, I think data modeling is that skill that if you know, I don't know, my boss, I don't know if AI will get to that point that would automatically be able to learn all of those contexts and you won't need human interaction at all to get those contexts. I don't know. Exactly. So as long as there's going to be human interaction to understand the business, to have a good understanding of the problem you are solving, as long as there's that layer, I don't think AI will get, until AI can interface with humans to understand human dynamics, people politics, and all of that, then maybe AI will replace you. So if you really want to hedge yourself as a solid data professional, I think you should grab yourself with a good understanding of how do you build solid data model, how do you ask the right question that the stakeholder need, so that you're able to solve amazing problem. Thank you very much. Question? Question? Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I will make the slide available. I'll remove internal. Yeah, I'll remove the internal because I had to take permission from my boss that I want to use it. So I will remove that and then make the rest available. Yeah.
How does this come to be? You're getting new data coming from SC transactions, debit credit. How do you feel the model that you to adjust to this kind of?
Yeah, so for streaming data, there will always be different consumers of that data, right? So you either have a data that's just being consumed by another application upstream, right? Either they're just showing the balance of a user in the application, right? So in that instance, like I said earlier, you'll have your fast dimension because it's a batch. Fact dimension is even if is a what's the word? Is a batch process. Go the route of streaming. Then a good use case would just be activity schema because all you just do is you have all your stream, which is events. You have that, and from there you model whatever way you want to consume it. But where you can probably fall back to fact and dimension is, at the end of the day, your stakeholder should be told. Many stakeholders that say they want real time, they actually don't want real time. They make decisions probably once a day, or maybe, so which means I want real time. 10 minutes latency will not stop whatever decision they want to make. Do you understand? So which means in that case, you might have something where, that's why I talk about mixed modeling hat is just the way, where you model activity schema for the stream, and then for your stakeholder, go back to your batch, which is fact dimension, and they're able to get your reporting differently. I think that help.
All right. You mentioned something that sort of caught me off guard 2 weeks ago. That interview in the country in the US where was a health company.
Yeah.
And that interview almost took my leg. At one point, even 30 people were giving me rubbish and answers, and I was like, you know, certain people have this a lot, I just give you nonsense.
Yeah.
And I improved that.
Yeah.
I said something that health data is difficult to process.
Yep.
For some point, I was like, are you guys a health company or is this something else? I don't know what people are telling me right now.
Yeah.
So you explain, how have you explained so far in the healthcare sector?
That make,
stumped you, and how did you fix that?
yeah, so I think what make the healthcare the most complicated is there's just different moving pieces. I can also explain that humans were also very complicated. Now imagine a data to model human, right? So there are different layers to it. An example would be something as simple as the diagnosis, right? If you visit a doctor today, they can tell you 10 diagnoses. Do you understand? And in the data set, for each visit can have 9, 10 diagnoses. Then is there a question if they want to ask, and each of those diagnoses then decide what specialty or what category of prescription they should give you. So there are different layers, and now you're also talking about multiple doctors have different specialties. right? So because of that peculiarity of different moving parts, unlike a normal sales, sales is very strict. You have sales straightforward. SaaS product is straightforward. You're talking about MRR, ARR. It's straightforward. But from an healthcare perspective, you can do analysis from a diagnosis point of view. You can do analysis from a specialty point of view, like, oh, which specialty are people coming from most? You can do analysis from a clinician utilization. You can do analysis from an hospital utilization. So there are a lot of different ways, and you can also do analysis from an insurance point of view. That means if you come to the hospital, how do they decide whether you have the right insurance? And that means they need to have a system that is able to help them track it. And in case that your claims get denied, how are they able to see? So like multiple wings that is going that you need to have. The same thing also go through inventory. They need to know whether they have the right drug in place or whether they should store the right drug and when they should restock and all of those information. And because US health system is one of the most complicated, I didn't know until I modeled this. It's so complicated, right? So that explains why it's very challenging to model health data.
My question is, seeing that data model is quite important for every organization, do you think that it would be, do you think that it would make sense, right, for data professionals to be, more involved in the data or database building, right, of an organization? Because nowadays, it's back-end engineers,
They do that.
that build, right? And then you just come and then build up on what they've already built, right? So do you think it would be more beneficial for data professionals to get involved in the database process, building process in itself?
To be honest, I won't say yes or no. I will answer like a consultant, it depends. The honest software engineers, they care about churning product. They don't care about analytics yet. It's when they start getting good usability, they start getting market share. Now they ask the question, how do we see trends and patterns? The popular Anthropic that were using cloud, Anthropic had their first data hire in 2024. So which means they didn't care about analytics at all. They fit. So it's at the point where they feel like, I think we've done a good product. Now let's answer the question, how are people doing in terms of using our product? What are the feedback we're getting? That's when analytics become a case. So I said that to say this, which means, yes, it might be possible which is why there's a concept called data contract. That is saying that, like you said, a lot of the data that we use as data professionals, we are not the producer of it. Backend engineers are the one producing it. So it's then a question of how do you have good relationship with the producer such that the data that they are producing, 90% of the time you won't have a say as it were, but there are instances where you probably will be involved in designing the database, and that's where we start talking about all things 1M normalization, 2M normalization. Like all of that is good to have good understanding. That's why I come about the fundamental. Have good understanding so that in case you have a backend engineer, right, you can help the person and say in this way. So I think use 1 normalization or 2 normalization or 3 normalization. So you'll be the one educating, but most of the time you won't always. So which is why I would say, I won't say you should be involved in backend work, but at least have good knowledge of what does this mean. What does good mean in case you're in a position where you need to educate? Yeah.
It's your past experience with your data analytics stuff. I can't get started a job. Data analytics. Data analytics, but not a direct job. It's a US company, but I'm assisting someone. And sincerely speaking, I'm getting overwhelmed with understanding the tables. There's no data dictionary.
Just to let people
I'm
know,
working on the reports.
in an health data,
I'm almost running crazy. Because, sincerely speaking. And in the next about 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, there'll be an assessment of how far
you've done.
the person I'm assisting has done with the job. What's the way forward? I'm asking myself, how do I even get the data dictionary done for this stuff? What are some of the process? What is the best way you can probably suggest in terms of practical things?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's also another thing that makes health data very crazy. And health data EMR, we have over 1,500 tables. Now imagine you are meeting a database, you have over 1,500, and they tell you the problem you want to solve. How do you even know where to go? Exactly. And that's where, remember I talked about the framework, right? I knew the problem they want to solve, the question they want to solve, right? Then the next thing I did was, if I would model this myself, what kind of tables will I need? I didn't even bother myself looking at the schema. Like 1,500 is a lot. I can't start querying each of them. There's no ERG, there's nothing. I can't start querying to know which. That's not a good use of my time. So I did I envisaged which table will I need to even answer the question that they need. Now, based on that table, I then build a tool that would get the metadata of all of those tables such that I can search and see which table is available. So let's assume I want to build diagnosis. The tool is in a Google Sheet, use TypeScript in Google Sheet to connect to our database. So all I just need to do is if I type a word, diagnosis, it will just list out maybe 7 tables that are in diagnosis. So that means I've narrowed 1005 to just exploring 7 tables. By exploring 7 tables, I know what exactly to do about diagnosis. The same thing true if I'm interested in claims about a process, I just search it where the word claim appear. So it's a thing of being smart about it such that you are only just using that tool to filter out the table that you need. So by then building, you start knowing the relationship that exists out of those tables. Now, out of those over 1.5, I think we've only built a model out of 20 of them. And we've been working for them in the last 1 year now. So it's just knowing the problem you want to solve and how do you get to the problem. And most of the databases give you their metadata, so you can know the table that exists. Just find a way to have a tool where you can query those metabases. I hope that answered your question. Any other question? All right. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's clap for him again. All right. How was the session? How was it?
It was dense.
You said what?
It was dense.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So now we'll be going into the panelist session. And for this session, the host will be Adedamola Onobanjo. Am I correct? Yeah. So she'll be the one to be hosting us. She'll be the one to be handling this panelist session. And with us today, we are privileged to have seasoned experts when it comes to AI, at least as far as Nigeria and Africa is concerned. And I'll be going to the first person. We're bringing up the Associate Director and Chief AI Officer of PwC in Nigeria, Christopher Ogiri. Next one. It's not saying. Okay, and the next person will be Sam Ayo. He's a senior AI and ML engineer. Then we have with us today, we'll just see. Okay, thank you. All right. Sam Ayo. Okay. And the next person, right? How many of us are familiar with Periculum? You know Periculum? Okay. How many of us know Zion? Okay. Awesome. So we have Temitayo Adejibe, right? He's the head of data and AI at Periculum. So sorry, this platform. Okay, and of course our host is Adedamola, right? So she'll be the one handling this panelist session, right? And she's currently a BI manager at Kuda, right? Please let's take a round of applause for her. Okay. Because of camera.
Okay.
Is it fine? Okay. All right.
Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adedamola Onobanjo, a data professional. When David was asking, I said, introduce me as a data professional. I I said that because the title BI manager is a bit restrictive, in the sense that today's world for data professionals opens us up to a lot of opportunities, to a lot of functions, to a lot of responsibilities and roles. Yeah, so I do a lot of things that sits, and I guess I would say that BI management sits at like an intersection of all the different things I do. But yeah, today isn't about me, or this session isn't about me. It's about these three very knowledgeable men that are seated by me. And we're going to be exploring the topic beyond the buzz, making AI work for business. In our daily lives, we interact with AI one way or another. It's 2026, it's everywhere. You can't avoid it, even if you hate it, and I hope you don't as a data professional, because it's very important. But yeah, it's very important, like I've said, and we interact with it one way or the other. But in interacting with it, we want to make sure that we're using it properly. We're optimizing the different tools that we have available to us. Uh, that everybody around you, all your stakeholders, and even yourself benefits from it. So why are we having this conversation? I mean, apart from the fact that today's theme is AI centered, the hype cycle around AI is maturing. You hear it. I'm pretty sure like everyone hears AI here every day. Um, and the question has now shifted from should we use AI to why isn't it working for us yet? So our panel is our panel isn't going to necessarily debate AI matters. It's more of a practitioner conversation. I mean, these men are all practitioners. So it's a conversation about execution, about the gap between deployment and value. So before we start, I am going to introduce the panelists. Um, Celebrities in their own way. I still need to know them. So to my left, I have Christopher Ogiri. I hope I pronounced it right. Okay. All right. He's Chief AI Officer at PwC Nigeria. Does anyone here know the full meaning of PwC? I wanted it to be a special question and give out like a gift to you others have been giving out gifts. You guys just took that away from me. It's fine. Anyway, Christopher is a seasoned AI and data engineering leader with extensive experience driving large scale technology and transformation initiatives across Africa and beyond. I feel like I'm sitting beside the celeb. Currently serving as Associate Director AI and Data Engineering Lead and Chief AI Officer at PwC Nigeria. He leads end-to-end AI strategy implementation and responsible AI adoption for clients across the region. With a background spanning IBM, KPMG, and telecoms engineering, he has led AI and infrastructure projects, including enterprise AI deployments, data engineering transformations, and large-scale system implementations. He is recognized for combining deep technical expertise with strategic leadership to deliver innovative business-driven technology solutions. All these fancy words to say that he's very knowledgeable, very experienced, and he's going to be sharing his wealth of knowledge with us today. Um, then to my leftmost, I have Sam Ayo, who is a senior ML slash AI engineer. Sam, looks like you have fans here. Just wave to your fans. Sam is a seasoned and highly skilled hands-on AI slash ML engineer with years of experience in software, data, and AI consulting. He has a proven track record in the design, development, and deployment of machine learning systems, enterprise scale data solutions. Wow. With a background in economics, mathematics, and AI, Sam is a three-time AI hackathon winner and has been heavily involved in building ML solutions across cross-industry fields, including media and advertising, IoT, retail, and energy. Sam has spoken at many top AI conferences and workshops, including AI Fest, the Nigeria Computer Society, where he shared insights on the intersection of AI and business. He has also spoken at Data Fest, Data Science Conference, Europe, Oscar Fest, GDG Dev Fest, AWS West Africa, including the Microsoft Student Learning Community, delivering a talk on leveraging AI for real-world applications to aspiring technologists. So he does have a lot to share with us today. And then to the single person to my right, Temitayo Adejuibe, who is the head data and AI at Periculum. Temitayo is a lead data scientist and ML/AI engineer with over 6 years of experience building scalable production-grade AI systems. Currently the head of data and AI at Periculum, he specializes in turning complex business problems into impactful data-driven solutions across industries like fintech and healthcare. He has led the development of innovative systems, including real-time fraud detection, trusting, and AI-powered conversational tools, delivering measurable results such as significant risk reduction and improved operational efficiency. So if you have questions around these topics, you can ask him after the session, of course. Beyond his technical expertise, Tim Tayo is passionate about bridging the gap between data and business and empowering others through practical real-world AI solutions. So let's give our panelists a round of applause again. Before we get into the questions, selfishly, I have a question for you that wasn't prepared for you. Yes, Christopher, yes. So you currently work as Chief AI Officer at PwC. And knowing the kind of organization, I mean, PwC has existed for a very long time, and we are now transitioning into this very technology driven world, where AI adoption is kind of, it's not the smoothest, right? How did you go from, I don't know the role you were in before, transitioning into Chief AI Officer, and what does that sort of entail? And you can also share with us simply if it's a hard or an easy job to drive, adoption. Okay, that's the mic for you.
Thank you for that question. So I'll try to be as honest as possible while sharing as little private information as possible. So before PwC, I was the head of data engineering for Africa for KPMG. And you realize very quickly that the state of data engineering is evolving to be kind of a mixture of analytics engineering, data visualization, and artificial intelligence. For me to convince customers that data engineering is important, data quality is important, data governance is important, you need to understand AI because that's already where they are going to. So you cannot start the journey if you're not able to visualize the end for them. You cannot tell them where to start. So that is very important. So while I led data engineering, I also did a lot of work in artificial intelligence. So I was building AI solutions for clients. I was designing or optimizing AI solutions for clients, while also saying you need to do data engineering, while also saying that the reason why you fail in many things is because you simply don't have good data quality. So when I transitioned to PwC, it was a natural transition because I was already doing AI in KPMG. And I double as 2 roles, probably 3 roles now. I lead data and AI. So that means when PwC is talking to clients, trying to position AI solutions to clients, I lead that conversation, but I also lead the internal adoption. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but most of the big firms, most of the large firms all have internal AI solutions. That means you cannot use ChatGPT, you cannot use Claude, you cannot use Gemini. In PwC, we have a tool called Chat PwC. Yes? And I like it. I like it, don't get me wrong, because it's actually quite smart because it allows you to communicate with multiple models at the same time. So I can have access to Gemini, I have access to Sonnet, I have access to Opus, I have access to GPT, all latest models. That's good. My job as a chief AI officer is to convince the organization how to use it and how best to use it for their functions. PwC is primarily 3 functions, yes? So it is tax or advisory, it is consulting and risk services, which I'm part of, and it's also the biggest business, assurance, which is the audit function. My role as chief AI officer is to get them to see how they can use AI to improve their productivity, to improve efficiency, and to provide better value to their clients. That is my role. It is very hard. It is very hard because people all believe they know it more than you. It is what it is. So they all believe they know it more than you. So you're trying to say, okay, fine, have you tried this? Because they're all smart people. You're not talking to people that, I mean, it's hard to get into PwC. So these are smart guys. So they were like, what are you coming to tell me, bro? Are you coming to tell me what they're trying to say? I don't know this thing. So it is a difference, in terms of capabilities when you use a tool like Chat PwC, how it works, how it engages. My job is trying to get more and more people skilled, working with the leaders across the various lines of service to get them to use AI more. And we've been somewhat successful in doing that. But I'll reckon that we still have a long way to go. And this is a similar problem for many organizations. And that's why the business value becomes very important.
Thank you so much for that, Christopher. Okay, so that you don't feel left out, I will ask you a question. So, thank you. I mean, you have a lot of experience building production grade AI systems. I guess my first question for you, which I think will interest the audience, is what your workflow looks like when you're building an AI-powered system. So, for example, you're building an analytics tool or a customer service bot. Maybe you can also give us an interesting example of a system you've built that is relatable to our audience, and what the workflow looks like when you were building that.
Thank you so much. I get to meet with a lot of bosses who follow information online and here I can do this, and then the next Monday call you're like, why don't we have this tool in our organization right now? Why are we not doing this exactly? And why have we not changed the entire architecture? I mean, I just attended one Google meeting and then they're saying this, so I think we can do it as well. And oftentimes, I think the workflow for us starts with having the hard conversation. I think the last speaker, the last presenter actually mentioned that. Sometimes the easiest way is the hardest way, like having that hard conversation with them. I like to call it problem framing. Many times they don't understand the problem they want to solve. Many of those top priority bosses, I mean C-suite officers, financial, either internal facing or external facing, they don't even know what the problem is. They just heard AI and they just assume there is a problem that AI can solve and AI has to solve that problem. And so oftentimes it's just starting with that hard conversation. What exactly do you want to solve? What's the problem that you want to address? That's one. And in the course of framing that problem, you want to understand exactly, number one, what is this problem to you? What is the impact this problem drives? And that's because, again, you see that many of them give you a lot of problems that in the end, when you finally solve that problem, even when you understand it, they just dump it somewhere on the shelf or use it once or twice and then it's no longer useful. And you wonder, why did I have to do all of this architecture for continuity when it's just a one-time or two-time solution, right? So understanding the impact of the problem. Number three, understanding what success looks like when it's finally built, right? Being able to define what are the metrics that defines you as a successful builder. It's also very critical. And the last one, understanding what failure looks like. In the world of AI engineering, you would encounter a lot of failures. And I'm going to use a practical example that you gave, customer service bot. So you built a customer service bot that is meant to answer customer question or customer facing question. And then you ask it a question, tell me about the policies of the company. It's a RAG system, it pulls it off, answers the question in no time. Okay, I have a product I want to return. I bought it and I think it's not in a good shape. What do I do? And then it says, oh yeah, pulls up all the record and answers that question. Oh yeah, now do it. And then that's the end of it. It doesn't understand, it doesn't have the access to specific tools or capacity to actually execute the problem, right? And so the agent is stuck in that loop of just trying to answer a question it doesn't even have information to answer. And so most times you want to understand what is a failure in this organization, because if building some customer service agent is a success, then what is a failure? Or for this particular solution, it's when you've actually defined these 4 to 5 metrics that you can then start to define what architecture you will need to do. And when I'm talking about the architecture, number one is what is the data that is required for this system, and how recent is the data that you will need. I'll pick another, the same example of a customer service bot. A customer service bot is not a solution that can feed on data from last year or data from the beginning of the organization or when it was set up. It's something that needs to have access to the positional information of the organization and the stream of information that happens on a transactional level. And I think that's going to guide you exactly on the kind of data engineering sequence that you will follow, and also the kind of model architectural setup that you would also put in place for that particular solution. It is when you've audited your data for the relevance of it to what you need to do, you understand the problem, you've set up that architecture that I would say prototype. I didn't say build, I said prototype. Oftentimes, a lot of people jump from there to build. And what do I mean? They